have Max Dispoto. What's going on, man?
A high percentage of my canyon trips are all just day trips.
Safe to say that's your favorite part of the season. That's your favorite pursuit. Yeah,
definitely favorite. Wasn't always that way.
That bite on the Ronzies is probably my favorite.
Never lost one because it was on a Beastmaster.
Do you have a bait preference? I talk to some guys with the sword fishing, and they're like, if it's secret, you don't have to tell us.
No.
But some guys are like, man, they're garbage disposals. Just whatever you get down there.
Yeah, if you present something nice, good to them, like get the right drift, put it in the zone, I think you're gonna get bit. I don't know.
Welcome to another episode of the On the Water podcast.
Beautiful.
Let's go!
Everglades Boats is an industry leader in premium offshore fishing boats. Founded in 1997 by boating industry legend and former Boston Whaler executive Bob Doherty, Everglades revolutionized the boat building industry with the invention of the ram cap process for one-piece unsinkable hulls. Respected for its renowned hull ride, Everglades builds center console and hybrid boats from 25 to 45 feet that make a statement about the status and savvy of their owner. Everglades has received numerous industry awards and achieved an unparalleled reputation for superior safety, performance, and quality. For more information about Everglades Boats, stop by your local dealer or visit evergladesboats.com. Everglades Boats, built for beyond. We're here with another episode of the On the Water podcast. Jimmy Fee, Anthony DeChichi, Kevin Blinkoff, and we do a lot of talking about the types of fishing we like. But I want to lead off this episode with Max Dispoto from Shimano and East Coast Charters with the types of fishing that not that I don't like, but I don't see myself getting into. Like there's types of fish, there's so many different variations of fishing, and there's some that I just don't ever think that I would be a major fan of. I'll start with Euro nymphing for trout. That is a technique where I guess I don't really understand what it is, but I know you have like
you just know you don't like it.
I don't like it.
You don't like the sound of it.
I don't like the sound of it. No, you do like a tight line. You're just drifting a heavy nymph kind of close to you, and I don't know. It seems like if you're going to fly fish, it seems like a dirty way to fly fish, but an inefficient way to
I've seen you do plenty of dirty fishing. I'm surprised.
I love dirty fishing, but that one, it's dirty fishing trying to be elite fishing.
It's an imposter style.
Yeah.
All right, I see that.
So I see Liam. We don't usually break the third wall here. Liam, who's a big fly fisherman and records these podcasts, he's shaking his head no. Can you tell me why?
It's the most efficient way to get it down and have that presentation.
So Liam's defending Euro nymphing here. He says it's an efficient way to get it down and present to the trout, which I guess it's probably not different from center pin fishing, which is basically that, but with bait, which I love.
There's something awesome about seeing a flow trap.
Okay, well, you know what? You go. My opinion's my opinion. I don't think I could get into Euro nymphing for trout.
You're just gonna die on that hill, aren't you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Kev, you have any that you just like? It does not appeal to me.
I saw a video that you did, Jimmy, smelt fishing up in Maine. Bunch of guys in a shack. The joke behind it was, if you smelt it, you dealt it in the smelt shack. It sounds awful. Does not sound like something I would want to do. Yet I know that you loved it and other people really enjoy it. But that's something I'm not interested in trying.
Let's qualify loved for that one. I enjoyed the time together in the shack. That's one of those quintessential. It's not really about the fishing. You go out in the winter. You're getting outdoors. You're in the small shack. You're passing around a bottle of Allen's coffee brandy, and it was fun. We went home. We brought 96 smelt. I counted, and because I had to clean them all, and they tasted good. And it was fine, and I haven't done it since, so I don't know how much you think I love it. But I would like to do it again because it was a great time. I'd like to do it with. I would do it with you guys, but I guess spending an evening in a smelt shack with me, drinking brandy isn't high on your list.
There's other ways I'd like to spend an evening, but so that would be my first pick. Smelt shack does not sound appealing to me.
Yeah. Also, that has the small fish factor to it too. Like there's no chance you're going to be engaged in a hard battle with a smelt.
I grew up smelt fishing, but it was totally different. We were running around marinas and piers. And it was like something to do in the winter. We didn't really have fresh water. We didn't ice fish unless we went up north or something like that. But I always thought that was kind of cool, but it was more of like just gathering, some fresh fish when you normally wouldn't have it in November, December, January, February. when you just sit on a bucket and do this. It's so weird.
It was the novelty of it was part of it for what made us go up there. And oddly enough, it is one of our most viewed YouTube videos.
Oh, it's a scene. It's a
a
bizarre
spectacle.
It's a bizarre spectacle. So
You
yeah.
had the gentleman who was in the shack smelling the bloodworm, or selling the bloodworms. He was selling the bloodworms.
You may have also been smelling them.
Anyhow, so Cheech, what type of fishing could you not get into?
I usually come around to enjoy most types of fishing, but like noodling for catfish maybe would not be appealing. Does that count as fishing?
You have a lot of noodling opportunities in your.
No, but I think that I would politely decline and be like, "Nah, I'm good."
Well, the one thing in common with all these suggestions so far is we're saying things that we have never actually done.
That's true.
And so maybe that's where this comes from, is if you Euro nymphed, you'd actually love it. If Cheech noodled, I bet, first of all, I bet he'd be amazing at it. Cheech, those are noodling
quick
hands.
hands.
You were born to be a noodler.
All right, so if we're gonna go down the road of stuff we've done, one thing I don't ever need to do again, and I grew up doing it, was wireline jigging for striped bass. That is just the only thing that's fun about it is the hit, like but it's just work. I don't like it. It's so heavy.
That's you have to be pretty dialed in to be good at it. You're getting the jig down there with this heavy line, and it's effective.
Super effective.
Not a lot of romance to wireline jigging. It's not an art. I guess it could,
It is an art because
Okay.
my dad was incredible at it, and he did it in a place where it wasn't like the rips of Cape Cod where everybody did it. He did it in Boston Harbor where like you had to know exactly how much line to let out, and then how fast the boat, the way the tide was going. It was very technical, or else you were hooking a lobster trap or snagging the bottom, and it wasn't productive. But he had it dialed to the point where it's like, all right, we can fish this place for an hour and 20 minutes, and then if we go to this place, the tide will be right there. And there was a very certain pass, and like if you tried to like just go and jig wire in that general area, you were losing bucktails left and right. But I respect it. It's super effective. It's not fun.
So I'm gonna say another one, and it's gonna sound like I'm just picking on fly fishing, but dry fly fishing, and it's not because I can see. I mean, it's probably the most written about fishing out there.
Really?
I don't think I could get into it because of how technical it is. Like I would have to get all these different. Getting from where I am to being a somewhat proficient dry fly fisherman seems like a bridge too far.
It's considered, I think, and I'm no dry fly fisherman, but it's like considered the pinnacle of fishing, like historically, to fish dry flies, and you're gonna.
I've done it. I've done it I've done it on the Upper Delaware River, which is for the East Coast, for our part of the country. That is the place to dry fly fish. I didn't catch any. I broke off a bunch on the hook set, and so I feel like getting there would be. I would never get through the break-in period. I guess I would have to start all over with my approach to fly fishing. Fly fishing, I like streamers, I like nymphs, but not Euro nymphs. But something.
What are you gonna come up with next? Spay casting, Jim?
I almost said swinging flies for steelhead, but that I could get into. I think.
Anything that hooks a steelhead would be pretty cool.
But Cheech, you said something or Kevin, you said that these are things we haven't tried, and I have noticed like there's types of fishing where I'm like, oh man, I could never get into that, and then I try it, and I see the light on it a little bit. I went bow fishing, and I got that. I don't need to do that every year, but I thought that was enjoyable. My bow fishing
I think
trip
that'd
on
be
the
fun.
Delaware
I would
River.
have fun doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Felt a little weird about the afterwards when the captain asked if he wanted to fillet the carp for me, and I said, you know anybody who would eat these? And he said, oh, I do. I know a family will take every carp I give them. And I didn't ask any questions. Probably the family of raccoons behind the 7-Eleven on his way home, but yeah, I didn't take any carp.
I wouldn't want to eat carp. Any other types of fishing, Kev?
I agree with you on the wireline trolling. One type of fishing that I have done that I thought I didn't ever need to do again was we were trolling umbrella rigs
That's not fun either. Yeah.
on wireline, and
That's a double. That's a double
At least with the
negative.
wireline jigging, you're sweeping the rod and you're a little involved in it.
and threw schools of big bluefish. So you would get three 15-pound bluefish on an umbrella rig on wireline, and that was work, and that wasn't the kind of work I'm cut out for.
The former editor of On the Water had a fanciful name for those. What was it?
He called them chandeliers of death. That was what and he actually said when I started here 20 years ago working for Gene Burke, the editor at the time, he said, "We're not going to put any chandeliers of death in this magazine," because that's how much he hated umbrella rigs.
We've pretty much maintained that. We don't have too many of them in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's still it can be an effective way to go fishing. It's for a captain who's got inexperienced people on board. You control umbrella rigs as a way to get fish, but anyone who's done it more than once quickly thinks, okay, there's got to be a more fun way to catch fish than this.
Swim bait fishing for bass was one that I didn't think I would get into. I couldn't see myself being one of those guys. And here I am, and I just bought another $100 bait down in Edison, New Jersey for largemouth bass, which is another thing that I did a lot of largemouth bass fishing growing up. Then I discovered stripers, and I thought, well, why would I fish for anything else that didn't live in saltwater? And then I've kind of really gotten back into the freshwater fishing quite a bit. But
It pulls you back in. It was weird. It was like I would never spend $40 for a striper bait. Never mind a largemouth, lure. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, I got a great deal on this one. It's only $200.
could you get into swim bait fishing? Is that one you think you could do, Kevin?
I don't see myself getting into that. It looks like, okay, it's interesting. If the payoff was more, like if you're throwing swim baits and there's not a lot of action. You're convincing yourself, I'm going to throw this swim bait for long periods of time and probably won't get hits.
Give me one night, just one night.
And then when you finally
he will hate it more.
No, I guarantee you.
Let him finish.
Guarantee
I was going to say, then when you finally do, I mean, if you catch a bass over, say, 5-6 pounds, that's great. That's probably pretty cool. But I've seen these, where you go out and you're throwing swim baits all night for a couple 2 or 3 pound bass that on heavy swim bait gear, on a giant swim bait, you're just skipping them in across the surface. And I don't know. I'd rather be in bed.
I'm laughing because you said the payoff isn't that great. And the direction I thought you were going to go is even when you do hook a big largemouth bass, the fight's not that exciting. It's not like hooking a big striper. And there was one time you and I were fishing together in our kayaks, and I had big golden shiners, and you were right next to me. You saw the bobber went down. I went to set the hook, and I set the hook, and you go, sarcastically shout from across the pond, "Let the battle begin!" And then it was it was probably a 5.5, 6 pound largemouth that rolled over and came in like an old shopping bag. And you go, well, that looked thrilling. I'm like, well, you're out here too,
Yeah, but I was probably fly fishing for pickerel on.
You were fly fishing
on flies that I had tied myself and all that. But that was cold water. I mean, that was right ice out March. Like the water was cold. Those bass aren't going to fight, but you're so desperate to catch something of size, and that's really your only option. But yeah, those fish don't. They certainly don't jump clear of the water in March.
No, and I don't catch enough in the summer. I don't fish for them once the stripers come back, so I don't even get to experience them when they fight their hardest. I haven't caught a largemouth bass in the summer in 10 years. Another type of fishing that I tried once, and you tried with me, that we didn't think we'd get into, that we were excited to try, did it, and then, the shine was off the apple after that, was the deep drop daytime fishing for swordfish.
So I think that was circumstantial, right? I think that the fact that we ended a 17 consecutive trip, streak that the captain was on and didn't touch a fish was part of it. And then it was us just licking our wounds saying, well, you know what? I didn't want to catch my first swordfish doing it that way anyways. I want to do it this way. And we started making up, a way we thought would be cooler to catch it.
No, I mean, so the deep drop fishing for swordfish, you're using an electric reel, heavy weights. It's a very technical fishery, but you're not as much involved in the fight, or you have to see the bite, then you press the flip the lever and press the button. I'm simplifying it, but I'd really kind of. I was like, I want to get it at night. I don't want to get it on a regular rod and reel. And if I never deep drop for swordfish again, I'm fine. Then after our discussion with Max and seeing how passionate he was talking about it and how excited it got him, it really kind of changed my mind on it a little bit.
The way he described like what happens after you hook that fish and how they act and like what they look like in daylight and stuff and how exciting. I think we're all going to die.
I think we have a fire alarm going off in the studio.
I think there's a robot.
It sounds like a squeaky shopping cart. I don't know what that is. It's a guy. It's UPS.
Oh, it's every Striper Cup box. He's
scanning them. He's scanning in all the Striper Cup shipments.
Well, hey, thank you guys for signing up for so many Striper Cup entries. Now we have to wait until
entries
all
for
the
the Striper
scanning's
Cup
done.
are open. We're shipping the packages right now. If you didn't catch us at one of the shows, do we just power through?
I think we're wrapping this up. Let's just power through that beeping noise.
So, hearing Max talk about a fishery that I thought I couldn't get into is kind of pulling me back in. And so you guys will get a chance to hear that in a second. I hope, Kevin, when you hear us passionately talking about the nighttime swim bait fishing, maybe we'll pull you back into that.
Out of your,
I will try anything once except smelt shack fishing. That I will probably never do.
Shimano has rods and reels for every fishery in the Northeast, whether it's deep dropping the swordfish in the canyons, casting the stripers in the surf, or finessing panfish through the ice. That's about as wide a range of fishing applications as you're going to get. For inshore saltwater applications, the workhorse of the Shimano lineup is the Spheros SW combo. The Spheros SW is built with premium Shimano technologies like Infinity Drive, which increases cranking power and smoothness while fighting fish. The rods range from a 7-foot medium heavy to a 9-foot heavy and fit Spheros SW sizes from 5,000 to 8,000 for a range of lure and bait fishing. From the surf this past season, I used the Ultegra XR 14,000 XSD paired with the Shimano Tiralejo XX surf rod. The Ultegra XR is Shimano's most feature-packed surf reel to date, with the rigid cast spool support to stabilize the spool while casting heavy lures, Infinity Drive to increase winding power under pressure, and X-Protect technology to provide high-level water resistance. The Tiralejo XX is built for casting distance and durability. The 10'6", 1 to 3 ounce model was perfect for punching Ava jigs through the wind during a sand eel bite in New Jersey last fall, and it was great for throwing pencil poppers to distant bluefish off the south side of Cape Cod. It's become my go-to combo when casting distance makes the difference in the surf. No matter what you're fishing for in the Northeast, Shimano has a rod and reel for it. To pick out your next setup, visit fish.shimano.com.
What's going on, everybody? We're back with another episode of the On the Water podcast. We have Max Dispoto. Max, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Cheech?
Thanks
Jimmy,
for coming
what's
on
up?
board.
Man, thanks for coming up here in the depths of winter. I know it'll be tougher to get you up here during tuna season, but
Definitely.
now a little less going on. Although you did say you're doing some pike fishing through the ice.
Just keeping busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to stay sane.
So
We're getting there.
it has been the best ice fishing season all around we've had in probably 5 or 6 years at least.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
we're looking for bass and panfish more and pickerel, but you've been doing. Tell us a little bit about the pike fishing, man. What are you using for? Where do you get your baits?
Just suckers, shiners, golden shiners, whatever you can really get your hands on. They aren't too picky. Now we're getting into February. You can even switch over to like dead baits, dead suckers, dead shiners. So makes it easier to keep bait for extended periods of time. But
Why does it switch in February?
I don't know what it is. I don't know enough about it, but just a pattern like early ice, when we would get ice in December and January, live baits. I mean, you would get bites on dead baits every once in a while. I don't know if they get lazy as they get closer to spawning, or it doesn't make sense. It's opposite of all other fish, but something about late ice, dead baits. It's what we've noticed. So
Interesting. I knew guys use dead baits for pike, even dead mackerel and
Yeah.
dead saltwater fish. But I did not know that there was like a correlation to a certain time of the season when they would be more apt to hit it.
Are you making your bait in like rivers or running water that isn't covered in ice, or are you getting bait through the ice?
no, I'm more of the lazy type. Go to the shop and have the guys get bait for me. And
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't put enough time to do that. Really, I think you got to do it. From what I found, when I did have the time to put it in like early, like December, before it really freezes.
Yeah.
Creek chubs, pond shiners, stuff like that, and then keep them in tanks.
Yeah.
But now I'm just just too busy that time of year, and
We don't even
Can't
have
put it
shops that
together.
sell suckers and things like that. So
No, like you go to the bait shops in Maine, and I'm blown away. They've got 5 or 6 different tanks in there, all shiners sorted by size, some up to like 8-9 inches
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
Where I'm like, man, if I could have those in April to fish for the largemouth bass here, we one pond on Cape that has pike supposedly.
allegedly.
I mean, it does, but you hear like one. So I'm sure somebody got one this year, but anyhow, I just want the big shiners for the largemouth. If I could buy them, they'd be worth $5 a pop to me. you know?
definitely, yeah, it's expensive to buy them, but it's worth it to have the right bait. And if you don't have the time early ice, like the guys that are really into it, I can't say I'm really into
Yeah.
it anymore, but like the guys that are really into it, that have the right bait, that it shows. They catch fish consistently, bigger fish more consistently, just like any other type of fishing.
So pike fishing, do you get one every trip? Like what?
Oh, at least, yeah.
you really?
Yeah, numbers. This is all in Connecticut, and
Yeah.
it's good there. Like half a dozen pike, I would say, is an average decent day.
Wow.
Maybe more. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was like my experience pike fishing is we get one flag for like 3 of us. And then,
Yeah.
yeah. That's wow.
No, when I was in high school 10 years ago, from high school, middle school, into early college, like I would put a ton of time in. So I was able to kind of figure out the right spots, right time, and just different patterns. So but now if I go a dozen times, even less than that a year, it's a surprise, especially with how the ice has been. So that's how I got away from it. But this year it's been like, how do I not go? We finally have
it's been
good ice.
So good. I've been going ice fishing on my lunch breaks and increasingly getting more and more nervous that my fat ass is falling through this ice that's just shrinking.
Right.
You know.
He's got a whole operation. He's got guys working for him now. He'll bring like 2 or 3 people from the office.
It's been
He's
the
got-
most ridiculous thing going. I don't know why they allow it to happen. I just don't say anything. But like, Jimmy made the point the other day. He's like, dude, you literally have like 3 caddies, like you're golfing, just catering. Like, I go out. Sometimes I'll drill the holes, but like somebody's on.
I fell for this trap. I go out there. He goes, Jimmy, drill the holes, and then
Punch a bunch of holes, Jimmy. We'll
I
just.
probably punched like 2 dozen holes, and then all of a sudden I go back. He's using my ice rod, and the other one he gives me is like they spooled it wrong so that there was no backing on the. It was a little Shimano ice setup, which
Still
was
wanna
great.
Find out who spooled that.
But it's just spinning. It's useless. I couldn't use it. And meanwhile, he's across the lake on one of the many
I
holes I
finally
drilled for him. And he's got Robbie Tartaglia, who works here, running the Garmin live scoping. Like, excuse me, sir, there's like some structure 10 yards over here.
Oh, that's
So
perfect.
he's got. That was the only time I did it. I'm like, this is.
I
I'll fall
fished
for
in
this
like
again.
8 out of the 12 holes that he drilled before he dropped a single time, and we found a bush in like 30 feet of water that had some fish in it. It was, so then we go back. He was one and done. He's like, I'm not doing this again.
It was bullshit. You took my brand new like ice fishing rod. I was so excited to use. I haven't seen that. I didn't even drop it yet.
I love that rod. I don't think I'm giving it back. So then we go back and I enlisted some other people that wanted to go, and the same thing happened. Like they're like, do you want to use the live scope? They're like, no, I'm good. And they'll blind fish a hole, and I'm just like, got another one. This is awesome.
Well, anyhow, we can talk about ice fishing.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm more interested in talking about tuna fishing. I've almost had my fill of ice fishing. But yeah, tell us your background. Like I think of you were a tuna guy, man. That's safe to say that's your favorite part of the season. That's your favorite pursuit. Yeah.
Definitely favorite. Wasn't always that way. Like I didn't switch to offshore stuff until like 2015 ish.
Okay.
So all before then was Block Island. So I grew up fishing Block Island. That's what was the closest to where the boat was kept and everything. So that's what I knew, and then slowly transitioned over, and I haven't gotten away from that. I still love that. It's like my baby. But then the offshore stuff obviously takes my attention away once that gets going.
What got you bit by the offshore bug?
Oh, topwater bluefin.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just saw people doing it on Instagram, became friends with them. They helped me through it. Like without the people that I started with, like none of this would have ever happened. They helped me so much through it, and it just exploded from there.
Do you remember your first bite?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Everything.
How'd it go down?
I was with Kyle Inepo and Luda Fusco up on the Cape that day. And it was when it was sand eels. It was before the half beaks. It was like right at the end of the sand eel bite, 2015 or 16. And it was just bubble feeds, throwing Ronzies into them and just letting it sink through and catching them. They were like 55-inch fish that day, roughly. So it was just from then
Pull a little different
my mind.
than a big striper.
Yeah,
Huh?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the day. So thank you to all of them who started it, and it's an addiction since then.
That bite on the Ronzies is probably my favorite bite maybe in all of fishing, like feeling them just the way they hit it, the soft plastic, fishing them for them. We have one rigged up from our last tuna trip, like in there. I fiddle with it every day in the office here. I'm out there, like I'll hook it to a chair and just put a bend in the rod just to feel it again. Well, I do.
It's awesome. Is it the one with all the teeth mark on the lead?
Yes. Yeah.
I love that bit. Like you can see, it's just so chewed up by tuna teeth.
Oh, that's
It's got
sick.
like the scrapes in it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. The eyes get those little scratches
Yeah.
on them. You could see it.
So from there, you do the canyons now too, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So it started. That's when the Cape was really good, and Rhode Island was So I was going up fishing with guys on the Cape, the half beak bite, top water in the fall there. I was hooked on that, so learned a lot about top water then casting. Wasn't really jigging that much then, so I got like a full top water experience those years, and then Rhode Island started going off, and that's when bluefin, yellowfin, jigging, and popping, trolling, all that kind of mixed together down there, and that was really accessible for me. That's close for me.
Yeah.
That probably flipped what 2020, 2019, when it was. You're right. You had all the Rhode Island guys coming up to the Cape to chase,
Yeah.
the fish at Stellwag and the fish east of Chatham, and now, the last few seasons it's been the dump. It's been off Block Island. It's
Right.
you have all the Massachusetts and Cape guys headed
Totally
Rhode Island
flips.
instead. Yeah.
Yeah.
The dump, the claw, like from the claw to the dump out to, like the gully and that whole zone was an absolute ghost town for like, I want to say 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, there was that bite in the dump around 2015-ish. Like, it used to be a thing, a troll bite in the dump, and then some guys were able to get them on Ronzies and stuff. But then that fizzled away, and it was never nearly as good as what it was now. And then we moved to the Cape. I would wake up, drive 2 hours, go to the Cape, then get on the boat, and then go. And now it's drive 10 minutes down the road to Point Judith, hop on the boat, and go out 20 miles sometimes, and we're there.
Yeah, and the Cape has kind of gone quiet while that has popped off. I mean, there's still bites in little spurts, but like there hasn't been anything super consistent on the run and gun
Not at all.
class fish.
Yeah. Definitely.
So you started. You said the bite got close to you there. When did you start running the canyons? How soon after you started the bluefin tuna thing?
2000, couple of years after. I forget exactly when, but it was really when the buoys were there. So that was kind of a good intro to it.
Did you? So you did the tsunami buoy?
No, the inside wet,
Okay.
on the buoys on the edge. So those are like 105 miles. They were 105, 110 miles from me. So it was kind of a cheat code intro to canyon fishing, because you know that there were always going to be fish there, and you could kind of play around with what worked and what didn't work, because there were fish around. Okay, this is always getting bit doing this didn't work doing that. So it kind of worked out in my favor. It wasn't like true canyon fishing, I guess, because we were fishing structure.
Sure.
But then when the fish moved off the buoys, you could take the same tactics we were using on the buoys, move them to a canyon wall, and work the same way.
It's a good tip, man. When there's fish around, because people will kind of stick with what's working rather than experimenting and finding out what works better. So when there's fish, that's the best time to switch things up, as opposed to when there's not fish.
Take us
or you're not
through
sure there's
that.
fish.
Take us, like, you go out, buoys, first time ever doing it. Like, what were you thinking? Like, how did you go about from start to finish? Like, this is where I'm going to fish because this is structure. We've established that much. But, like, once you got there, how did it play out? Like, what are some of the first things that you tried, and then the first things that ended up starting to show that pattern?
The first time we went there, it was kind of a mess. I was on my friend's boat, really good friend's boat, who I was fishing the Cape with all the time, and we heard that there were yellowfin around the buoys. So we went with a couple friends that had fished it before, went out, and only spin gear. That's it, just jigging and popping stuff. On the way out, his sonar stops working, so we don't have a fish finder. We pull into the one buoy above the edge. They're all gone now, so we could talk about it freely. One buoy above the edge. That one was in like 400, 500, 600 feet of water. And we start throwing poppers there. No yellowfin around, popping. I'm throwing a 160 mil popper. And all of a sudden I get hit. I'm like, oh, it looks like a mahi. Get to the boat. It's a rainbow runner. Like a full-blown, like 30-something inch rainbow runner.
Wow.
Don't see those up here. I'm
Yeah.
like,
No.
and that's my first time to the edge. I'm like,
This place is magical.
Is this plate? This isn't like normal. Is it normal? I'm like kind of confused. I'm like, huh. All right, that's like one of the first fish I pull off the buoys. We may have gotten a few mahi before then. Then we go to the outer buoy, and we're just blind jigging, get a couple yellowfin, and that was it for the day. Mahi and a couple yellowfin jigging. So we were not prepped for it at all. But I saw like all the fish and life around. I'm like, it's pretty cool. And then next year, I'm fully set up on my boat now. The following year. And able to get like a full trolling spreads, fish finder, which helps a lot, believe it or not, and all the jigging and casting gear. And just the bite built, people knew about it. We knew that there were fish there. People who have been catching fish there and just built over the years. So fine tune the trolling spread around that.
Yeah.
And if the fish were there, we would fish there. It was almost a guarantee every time. And the swordfish were nearby there too. So we were able to deep drop then. And just worked out good. It was like a perfect intro to canyon fishing, kind of like a cheater, like I said, because you knew that they were there and you're able to figure it out.
So since that first trip, this is somebody, I feel like this is one of our like most frequently asked questions. Since that first trip, have you gone back with only spinning gear, with only jigging and popping gear all the way to the canyons?
No, I haven't.
And you would advise
No.
it?
I mean, there are days where you could, but it depends what you want. Like same thing with the midshore bluefin bite, like around Block Island and stuff. I usually will sneak like 4 or 5 trolling rods in the side of my console just because there are days where the jigging and popping thing kind of sucks, but
Yeah.
and the troll bite could save your day.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a matter of getting no fish jigging or casting, but you can pluck off a handful trolling, like I'm going to take that. But same thing with the canyons. You're going so far, and it's
you
a
want
big
an
risk.
insurance policy.
Yeah,
because if you're not
exactly.
marking them, if you're not seeing anything,
Yeah.
at least you can have some lines
Definitely.
in the water as opposed to jigging over dead water feels way less productive than
Yeah.
trolling over dead water.
I have gone with only electrics. Well, including a couple spinning and spinning, jigging, and casting rods.
Those are swordfish dedicated
yeah,
trips. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I have done that just when didn't really care about the tunas. If we saw them jumping on the way in or out there, we would have jigging and casting stuff. But just main target swordfish. Leave later, get there, just start deep dropping all day, then come in.
Okay, so just not even staying overnight?
No,
Okay.
no. Yeah, a lot of my camp, 99, not 9, but a high percentage of my canyon trips are all just day trips.
Okay.
Center console, you get there under 3 hours, 3 hours most.
It can be a cold night in a center console
Yeah,
in the canyons.
yeah.
I've done it a couple times, and you know the water's 75 degrees, 70 degrees, and you're out there and you're like, man, why am I so cold? You get covered in dew.
It's
you know?
wet. Yeah.
Trying to sleep
It's
in the
wet.
beanbag. What's your electric rod setup for swordfish? What's your daytime?
I always use a Beastmaster, Shimano Beastmaster 9000. That's when I started getting into deep dropping. I was setting the whole boat up for canyon, so obviously a ton of stuff budget-wise. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get a Beastmaster. I talked to people. Obviously, they catch them on it. And I said, the day I lose a fish because it's a Beastmaster, I'll jump to a hooker or an LP. Never lost one because it was on a Beastmaster. Worked every time. Got fish over 300 pounds, close to 400 pounds on it, multiple. And like since then, I still have the same idea in my head. If I lose a fish because of the reel, I'll make the jump. But until then, like I am so confident in them now. So I run 2 of those. One as a buoy rod, one as a tip rod. And then that's on the Shimano Therese Blue Water Swordfish rod, the
Okay.
heavy. So it's Beastmaster, Shimano Therese Blue Water Swordfish rod. Small little setups. Beastmaster doesn't take up much space.
Yeah, the LPs are massive.
Relatively cheap. And for guys in Florida and stuff, I think it makes sense for them to go for the LP if you're doing it every day and stuff. But for a lot of guys that canyon fish around here, for how many times you make it out,
Yeah.
and like I said, until I lose one because of the reel, I have full trust in them now. They're killer.
What's the price of an LP compared to a Beastmaster?
Beastmaster rough prices is $1,500 and LP is $5,500. Yeah.
$5,500.
Are they that wow,
Yeah.
Expensive.
I mean, they're commercial grade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Two different animals. You could pull dredges off them. For guys on sporties, they could pull dredges off of them. You could do like commercial tile fishing with them. Guys do that. But for
Recreational fishing.
yeah, and even commercial sword fishing, I've sold I don't know how many dozens of swordfish off of Beastmasters. It works out.
Gets
it
the
works.
job done.
Yeah, absolutely.
What line?
80 pound Power Pro.
Okay.
Yeah, color doesn't really matter, but definitely want to do solid braid instead of hollow core, using that amount of depth. The round braid, same thing with like deep water jigging. You want to use solid braid instead of hollow core. That flat catches the water more of hollow when when it gets squeezed.
Makes sense.
So more scope. The round solid braid cuts through and you'll have less scope.
So what are your connections then? FG knot or?
80-pound Power Pro to a wind-on leader, Swordfish wind-on leader.
Okay.
So it has the wax loop for the weight on it, and then the end is just like a wind-on leader for casting or jigging, just a spliced loop on it. So I'll do a bimini on the end of the Power Pro,
Got it.
and then just a cat's paw to it. And then from that, you go to your bite leader to the bait, and that's like 200, 300-pound mono, whatever you want to use.
Do you have a bait preference? I talk to some guys with the sword fishing, and they're like, if it's secret, you don't have to tell us.
No,
But some
not at
guys are
all.
like, man, they're garbage disposals. Just whatever you get down there.
Yeah,
in
if
front of their
if you present something nice, good to them, like get the right drift, put it in the zone, I think you're gonna get bit. I don't know, but then like my favorite skirt has orange in it, and then you talk to someone else, they're like, God, do not ever use an orange skirt. You will not get bit. Like they hate orange. I'm like, oh my God, so weird. And then bait wise, bellies, eels, squid. I usually go with eels just because they're so accessible. You can go to a bait shop, buy it, kill them, rig them, and they're good forever. Bellies, if like albies are around in the
Yeah.
fall and I can get a fresh belly,
Yeah.
that's great. Same thing with mahi. That's good. Squid are kind of a pain in the ass to rig for deep dropping. Nighttime, you don't have to rig
They
them
get
too
chewed
much.
up so easy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of stay away from those for the most part. They get bit, no doubt, but
Yeah.
if you have the time and patience to go through a squid, it works.
It would suck. It sucks when you pull something that up from that deep, and it's like, how long have I not been fishing for
Yeah,
this?
exactly.
Eels are becoming super popular because of the durability of them. Guys will catch several fish on one rig
Definitely.
deal, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Refreeze them and they look the exact same
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
thaw them out again.
What's the weirdest thing you've pulled up from the depths? Ever get anything strange?
Not really. That's kind of, I'm not can't be disappointed, but like no, nothing crazy. We've gotten all sorts of tuna from the bottom, or at least dropping longfin albacore, dropping a 10-pound weight down. It slacked it out. Like, all right, big eye came up like an 80-pound longfin. It's like, huh, it's a big
Really?
one.
That's a
but
big
like,
longfin.
Yeah, but we've gotten, I don't know if I've gotten yellowfin on the deep drop, but big eye and bluefin, same thing. Giant bluefin on the bottom. Big eyes are pretty common. That's like the most common tuna you'll get. Just call it bycatch you'll get from it.
what time of year do you start thinking swords?
June, same thing as everything else basically.
Yeah.
And guys have caught them end of May.
Yeah.
Second half of May. I think some of them probably are residential. Like some of them probably don't leave or go too far. So I don't think that they go. I mean, I'm not saying you can catch them in the dead of winter, but maybe. I think the longliners would stick around more if they did. But
1,000 feet down, I mean, the conditions aren't changing that
Exactly.
much. It's not the conditions that are driving them to
yeah,
migrate.
and there's still bait out there. So I wouldn't doubt that some are residential, but the majority of them I think start June-ish, and June, July, August. Fall is usually really good. September,
I
October.
was going to say, what's the month? If you were going to choose 1 month to plan a swordfish trip to maybe check off that first swordfish you ever caught, Cheech, what month would you plan that trip around?
July has the best weather, so just in order to get there, I would say July.
Okay.
September though could have really good days, but to get canyon windows in September sometimes is a pain just because the wind all stacked up with
this
each other.
last September especially. I
Yeah.
felt like 3/4 of the month we
So
lost
if you
the
can
wind.
get a day in September, I would say then, but July and August is really consistent. Even sometimes right when they show up in June, sometimes that's the best. So I've had years July was the best, and then some years that didn't really get going until September, October. But they're just kind of there. Just got to go fish for them. There's no way of knowing that they are. Like you don't mark them, anything. So you just got to go play around and find them.
How's the fight differ when you hook one deep dropping versus when you're fishing for them nighttime, which you probably don't do a ton of because you don't do too many overnights. But have you caught them at night?
Yeah, absolutely. If I go on like a sporty shop on someone else's boat,
Yeah.
Go overnight on those. We've caught them at night, definitely. At night, I feel like they fight similar to a tuna. You hook them, they run, get them up and down, then fight them, lift them up. Deep dropping, there's so much scope in the line. There's the 10-pound, 8-10-pound weight. They feel the weight rather than you pulling up on them. So you aren't setting the hook in them and fighting them up. They're swimming the weight up. They're fighting the weight, and they'll usually do that until they see light, roughly, or start to see light. So anywhere from 300 to 600 feet. 600 feet it's dark, but something about there, they'll start fighting a little bit. But then once they really see light, 300, 200 feet, they start fighting the opposite. Sometimes they'll race right to the surface if they still feel the weight, and then you get the weight off, then they feel the rod pull, then it's the exact opposite. They'll run down to 500, then you're fighting them normal. But always, they never, from the bottom, they're not running. You're not
just
fighting them
swim
off the
up.
bottom. Yeah, you just, with the reel, you just want to pick up slack. If you're hand cranking, don't like bury the drag and try to catch up to it and pull on him. I always let him swim up as far as he's willing to. Just don't put any pressure on him. And you'll see the line because the weight's on it. You'll see it when you're fishing. It's basically straight up and down. Then you'll see it start going out, out, out. And it still looks like it's down. But then you look up, the fish is jumping like 400 or 500 yards out, but the line's in the water because the weight's bringing it down. And there's 100 or 150 feet of line between the fish and the weight. So it's just totally different than any other kind of fishing we do because it's always direct. Get a bite, set the hook, you're fighting it. This is different. It's super, even though you're fighting it on an electric reel most of the times, you could hand crank it, but it's so technical and different than what we do. That's kind of what drew me to it and got me fascinated with them. It's so different.
That's interesting with the saying you gotta let the fish do its thing and then fight it after you've picked up the slack and it's got the weight off. And how far is the weight from the fish?
100 feet usually. The wind down leaders are anywhere from 100 to 150 feet, and the weight is at the beginning of the wind down.
Okay.
So you can get the fish 100 feet below, you get the weight off, and then start fighting it. But even different from tuna, you want to baby them. A lot of the times they don't know what's going on because of the weight and everything. You can kind of sneak them in. If you baby them up, you can kill one, a big one, in 15, 20 minutes sometimes if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Other times they can go for 3 hours. But I've had them just swim right to the boat basically because they don't know what's going on. Stick them with the harpoon and you're done. So it's kind of different than everything.
Do you know right away if it's a swordfish versus a big eye? Like, can you tell by the bite or?
Not really. No, big eyes eat a lot on the drop. Not that swordfish won't, but like halfway down, if you slack off, you're like, okay, it's most likely a big eye. On the bottom, if they chase it to the bottom, eat it then. Don't really know because they'll swim the weight up too. So if one comes up and doesn't jump, you're kind of skeptical. Like swordfish, I'd say 80% of the time will jump for us, 75% maybe. But if one comes up, and then once you get the tail beats in a perfect pinwheel, you're like, all right, big eye. But other than that, the bite down there is kind of the same.
That first view of a swordfish I've only ever seen them at night. I've never caught one myself. I've seen probably 5 or 6 caught at this point. But it's always been in the dark. Like seeing one in the daylight that first time must be wild because they're
cool.
like purple, right? They're kind of an iridescent purple when you first see them.
Purple with a bright silver belly. They're bright, like flashing down there. It's cool. They're sick.
Yeah, they're a very, very cool animal that I need to get up close and personal with sooner than later.
Let's do it.
Everglades Boats is an industry leader in premium offshore fishing boats. Founded in 1997 by boating industry legend and former Boston Whaler executive Bob Doherty, Everglades revolutionized the boat building industry with the invention of the ram cap process for one-piece unsinkable hulls. Respected for its renowned hull ride, Everglades builds center console and hybrid boats from 25 to 45 feet that make a statement about the status and savvy of their owner. Everglades has received numerous industry awards and achieved an unparalleled reputation for superior safety, performance, and quality. For more information about Everglades Boats, stop by your local dealer or visit evergladesboats.com. Everglades Boats, built for beyond. You mentioned Lou. I heard from somebody that he was going to try to jig one or slow pitch one at some point with I imagine the gear.
He was going pretty far down that rabbit hole, and when he started, I remember talking to him, and he was like, as he was figuring things out, he's one of the fishiest dudes up this way, but then it just kind of fell off. I don't know if he just was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it definitely crazy.
Yeah.
Possible, yes. Crazy, also yes.
Yeah.
2 things true at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a good bite and you get like the right size fish with the right conditions, very slow drift, I see it possible. People do it other places, so I don't see why not. But again, the amount of times that you get to go sword fishing in the canyons during our short season.
Are you really going to burn your trip?
Exactly. Yeah. Are you going to put a bait? Maybe if you get one right away on conventional gear and then switch over, try it. Because it's hard to fish 2 rods. Well, I guess if you put it out a buoy rod, instead of fishing a tip rod and a buoy rod, if you replace the tip rod straight down with a jig, I guess you could do that. Just because there's so much scope, things will get tangled. It'll be a mess.
Yeah, you can get the buoy rod far enough away that you're never going to come close to it with a jig drop down.
Challenge accepted. So swordfish, that's your favorite thing right now. Is that would that be right or?
What is your favorite
Yeah.
thing to chase?
I don't.
God.
He just spoke so like lovingly about
I know.
sword fishing. That,
Yeah, they do, but it's like the tuna thing. Obviously, can never get away of the top water and jigging. Those hard strikes and explosions. It's hard. It's hard to pick a favorite. Must be like a parent trying to pick a favorite son, favorite kid.
No, I have a favorite kid. For sure.
I don't have a favorite kid, and I have two.
Yeah, true. No, I can't say they're two different. Like swordfish is technical, kind of slow building, and tuna's just straight adrenaline when you hook up. So they're two differences.
Imagine if you said pike through the ice.
No, definitely not. That's kind of just for me to pass time in January and February to not go crazy.
So take us through like your full program. Like when do you splash the boat? What do you start doing first to when to pulling it out of the water? What's that full season look like?
Realistically, it's stripers at first. Upper Narragansett Bay is kind of where we first start. There's still some. I'm out of Point Judith to start.
Yep.
Point Judith, Rhode Island. So for us, we get schoolies on the South Shore to start, in May. But then just for actual big fish, it starts in Narragansett Bay. Pogies up there, and I do that not a ton, not nearly as much. I kind of go with other people up there, and once block starts in June-ish, I'll start. That's when it really starts. So mid-June, say, that's when I'll really start going. So that there's some fluke around the island too. I guess I play around with end of May, around Mother's Day. So that's kind of like a benchmark of when I start fishing the island.
How's the fluke
usually.
fishing? Big fluke then, or?
It could be. It used to be really good. It's been tough the past couple of years. Well, more than a couple of years now, but you're still able to get them. That's kind of when it's best around the island now is early season, May, beginning of June. Then the heat of summer, there's so much going around too. It's hard to say. Not as many people target them, especially made with tuna around. So I think the eyes kind of got off of them, even though the fishing slowed down. It's kind of a mix of the two. Mm-hmm. But
I feel like we saw that with Nantucket shoals a little bit. It used to be later in the season, like July, August, or August. You would have your shot at the real big ones.
Yeah, for sure.
And now it's like if you're not out there in the first couple weeks of June, it's going to be tough to find a 10-pound fish because a lot more guys fishing it. But I feel like there was a shift there. When I first started going, they're like, go in August. That's when you'll get your big ones. This is when I did get my first big one. Now, like the August trips are great for numbers, but June, like mid-June, is your best shot for a real big one there.
Yeah, I mean, just talking to Tyler from Helen H, he had said, book an August trip. Like, we'll get you guys out in August. That's going to be the best part of the season, I think, when we're really cranking on all cylinders for offshore fluke, Nantucket shoals. So, I don't know, maybe it's flipped around a little bit.
So you tell me I'm wrong?
No, because there was definitely a stretch there. Like, the last time we had fished it together, it was earlier was better.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But I didn't know that about Block Island. I've only done Block Island fluking once, and that was late August, and we had a good trip. And there was another boat. We did it on the Gale Francis, and that same day the 7Bs had a couple 10-pounders. I think our biggest one was in the 7 range. But yeah, so it was good then. They said that time of year is when they're kind of migrating offshore. Makes sense. So maybe May you're catching them when they're coming in.
Yeah. So that's kind of early season. End of May, before the stripers, around when the stripers are starting to show up in Narragansett Bay. So it's kind of a mix then, kind of a wild card. But then once middle of June 15th hits, from then on, I'm out of Point Judith going south to Block Island for stripers or offshore. So this year it started earlier with the bluefin. They showed up in the canyons end of May. So that kind of threw a whole different wild card into it. Just planning to fish inshore, mess around, and then they were in the canyons last week of May, even before then. And then we started fishing them first week of June. And so you plan on just fishing inshore, playing around, and then just full-blown bluefin are here. And then the week after that, they moved inshore. So we were just kind of just straight offshore. And then once block stripers got really good, we were fishing that. That's last week of June, second half of June, and first half of July.
Inshore hit a bit of the midshore tuna bite hit a bit of a lull, didn't it? Like, wasn't there an early run and then it slowed a bit and then picked back up in late July? Or
kinda, yeah. They never really left, but there was like that early run, and then kind of slowed up They kind of got isolated, not much moving in.
There's a lot of terrible weather that stretch, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't
All
think
that south wind.
Yeah.
And then I don't think a lot of guys could get out, find them. We couldn't get out, find them. So it's kind of like I think it was just kind of finding them again where they showed back up. Then once we found them, it was just, they never moved. They stayed there from
It was a little ridiculous.
July,
last year.
August, September, October.
Yeah.
Never ended. It was insane.
I was bummed that they didn't get that mix of yellowfin in with them at all last year. There was a couple onesie twosies caught, but like I think that was some of my favorite inshore tuna fishing. Was like that mixed bag bite where it was like you didn't know if you were going to catch a really nice yellowfin or a giant or a 30-inch school tuna,
Yeah.
bluefin.
Right.
That was a wild year. It was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, that was 2023 is when you had all the, and they were good sized yellowfin. They were like 40-pound yellowfin, and the bluefin were every size.
Yep.
From 20 inches on up to 100 inches, and that was really cool. That was a great season. Last year was good, but it was predominantly. I mean, when we got out there, we saw mostly 32-inch bluefin, and then with the occasional bigger ones. Is
Right.
that pretty much what you were
Yeah,
seeing? Or?
basically, and a lot more jigging than popping last year. It was definitely more of a consistent jig bite with the occasional topwater days. But yeah, smaller fish, which I guess is a good thing. Next year they'll be bigger.
Yeah, I
And,
hope they come back. But that's they tons of those little ones, and like next year will they be 45-inch fish?
Right.
That's ratchets it up a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So.
What's your favorite size tuna to catch?
On spinning gear,
Yeah.
spinning gear, a 60-inch fish is like perfect. Once you get into the high 60s, they come a kind of a pain to catch if it's on lighter gear. If you're just jigging normally and you hook like a 68, 70-inch fish on a smaller jigging setup when you're catching the 30-inch fish, like you're going to be there for a little while. But if you're geared up for it, like those high 60-inch fish are awesome to catch.
Yeah.
A big 18,000 or 20,000 size reel and a heavy rod, those big fish are like 60, 65-inch fish, 70-inch fish are awesome.
When you're jigging, do you prefer conventional over spin?
It's both for me. It's like switch hitting. So I'll have, if it's me jigging, like if I'm just out jigging for the day, just fishing for fun, say, I'll have a spinning rod and a conventional rod right next to me. Jigging, you're jigging with your right arm,
Yep.
reeling with your left, or vice versa. Pick up the spinning rod, it's like a total break. You're using your other arm. So I kind of go back and forth just so it gives me a breather on the one arm that I'm viciously jigging with. And then you switch over and you can kind of go back and forth and be more, don't tire out as easily.
Which do you prefer?
I share the same exact sentiment, and it wasn't until probably this past season, maybe the season before it, where we've been doing more and more jigging, that I kind of quickly realized that, because for the longest time, my favorite setup was the conventional with the Shimano O'Shea jigger and a ghost hunter rod. Like it was light in my hand, and you knew no matter what you hooked, we got that treatment with Dom where 400 or 500 pound tunas, you would get into the boat with that
for sure.
setup, and it was light, drag was smooth. You didn't have to like switch the bail over to engage to start jigging. I was like, this is the only way I'm ever gonna jig. But then you go back out and you're working for bites, and you're doing the dishes as Jimmy brought back from a Jersey trip, and you're just working and it's like, shit, my arm's super tired. And then once we had some of the spinning stuff in play, it was like, holy shit, this is a huge break.
Yeah.
So I agree 1,000%. You want to bring a conventional and a spin setup, because it just allows you to keep your jig in the strike zone.
I'll
longer.
say fighting bigger fish, I'm going to pick conventional all day. I think
1,000%.
that's a lot easier to fight big fish on, to beat them up easier.
I feel like I tire out slower with conventional gear. Like
Definitely.
I've got more in the tank.
I think they do more of the work versus a spinning reel. But jigging, I can go either way, really.
Spin just doesn't want to be comfortable when you're tight to something for a while with big fish, and it's like there's a right way to fight them, and you can do everything right, but it's just like the position.
I don't think we don't make it easy. Do you use a belt when you fight big fish on spinning rods?
I will use a pad, yes.
Okay.
To keep the butt of the rod from jamming into your thigh or groin area. Just I'll keep a pad there. Yeah, that takes a lot of the pain off of it.
So that we don't make it easy on ourselves. And like we always forget the cushions, like the little the things you put on the back of the rods.
Yeah.
And,
That's for big fish. For big fish, I'll use a pad. But like for like the under 60-inch bluefin, usually just free hand it.
yeah, you can get them quick enough. But it's
Right.
like
We don't use
that large-
anything for any size bluefin, and
Oh my god! Like the bruises I had after we had one trip where we were out there, and it was probably right on the cusp of being too big for the 14,000 reel we had. The fish he hooked. It was a high 60-inch fish. We fought it forever. He wasn't sure of the knots, so the drag was lighter than it should have been, and I had like a grapefruit-sized bruise for a month. I almost saw a doctor.
yeah, it was like somebody surgically implanted a softball in
my
like
God.
your inner thigh, and then like just walking around, it was just it was terrible.
We bought the cushions right after that, and then I think they've been on one trip since, and that was 3 years ago. But
Yeah.
I see more guys fighting bigger fish and in quick time, in an hour solo, and using belts or pads, like you said, and that's
Definitely.
something I think we need to invest in for this season. Because
Yeah.
one of my goals is I'd like to solo a 70-inch fish, and that's not very, like, guys are doing it to 100-inch fish,
Right.
so that's not that ambitious. It might be ambitious for the shape I'm in.
I want to solo an 80-inch fish, Jim.
Whatever. You can one-up me all you want. You're not going to do it. You didn't solo a 50-inch fish this year. You had
There was some 30-something inch fish where it was like, all right, I've just done this 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
Like, somebody take this. I don't even want to fight it anymore.
Get the bite, get it in,
The bite's the best part.
get it over with. Yeah.
What's the biggest one you've gotten, just you, on the rod?
Nothing crazy. High 70 inches, mid 70 inches fish.
That's crazy enough to me. That's pretty good.
You get the right gear though, it helps. You just got it has to be on the right setup. If you get that on a too light of a rod, you'll be there all day just hurting yourself. The fish is like not even feeling it. But if you get on the right setup, it's no problem. Just those Osea plugger big game rods, those changed it for me. The 7-foot or 7.3 XXH and the 7.0 triple XH, the guys in Jersey, that's what they've been catching all those top water fish on, and that changed it. That's how they're soloing them, most of them on. It just those like, it's a whole different level of spinning rods to fight big fish on. They aren't even jigging rods; they're casting rods. But the 7-foot and 7.3, they're not crazy long. They're able to drop a Ronzi on them. So if
It's
it is
a great
jig
Ronz
bite-
rod, yeah.
Yes. So that's what I'm able to do them on now. It totally changes. It's like the rod absorbs all of it. It has crazy lifting power. You can put as much drag as you want on them and not even like feel it on you. It's incredible.
So I have one of those. I hooked one fish on it last year, and it was a giant. It was a too big. I was east of Chatham with my friend Devin Acton, and hooked this fish, and the rod felt great, but I had a 14,000 twin power on it instead of what should have been, because you and I talked about those rods that I cast.
Yeah.
Put an 18,000 Stella on the 7'3" one, and if you go to the 7-foot one, the 3X H, put a 20,000. But I didn't have an 18,000 Stella,
Right,
so my
right.
twin power. I remember the spool, like you could have cooked an egg on the spool of the twin, because it was an older model twin power
Yeah.
too, and it just didn't. The rod was great. It felt wonderful for when I had it on there,
Right.
but the reel started getting a little weird, and
Yeah.
I went that trip. I ordered an 18,000 Stella, so it's
Yeah,
right
a
after
70,
that.
80, 90-inch fish on one of those setups versus like a light jigging rod that you plan to catch the 30, 40-inch fish on with a 10 or 14,000 and a lighter jigging rod. Just that's all it comes down to. If you can't not land them. Like you could land them on it, but just you're at a huge disadvantage.
So Max, are you your Shimano Pro staff, or what's your role with Shimano?
Yeah, Northeast Pro staff.
Okay.
So just help them out with whatever they need.
So we just talked about here, I mentioned the Twin Power and the Stella. Those are the two, what I would call, with the Saragossa, the spinners. Could you give us a quick rundown on why would you want a Twin Power over a Stella? Like, what?
Definitely.
Help me
yeah.
find the right reel for me.
That's-
Is the type of question I'm asking.
That's probably the question I get asked the most is what reel do I need? That's the word need. So the SW line of reels from Shimano are like, call them the heavy duty. There's a whole different line we can go down, but they're the heavy duty reels from Shimano. They're the ones made for what we do, that offshore stuff. So starting at the bottom, there's the Spheros SW, then the Saragossa SW, the Twin Power SW, and the Stella SW. Stella SW, obviously top of the line. All the newest technology, the best technology, always come in Stella, and then they get trickled down from Stella to Twin Power to Saragossa as the new Stella gets updated and that technology can be incorporated into the next reels. So Twin Power now was Stella last model, say, or the model before. So Saragossa, say, 2 models before is the Stella 2 models before. So it all gets passed down as new Stella gets updated. And this year, the new Stella SWD, so the D version, starts with, that's how Shimano lineups go. They start with the original model, then SWA, SWB, C, D. So now we're on D in the 10,000 and 14,000. So that has the newest, best technology in it, better than any Stella ever made. So now Twin Power, eventually, I'm sure we'll get an update of what old Stella had. That Twin Power is missing. So back to like, what reel do I need? It's just, I think it really goes down to how much you're going and what fish you're targeting the most.
Yeah.
Each of those reels, starting from the Spheros up to Stella, they can all catch a tuna. No problem. Spheros can catch them. We've caught them on it. No problem at all. So if you're someone who has a chance of running into tuna, you're going to hop on a boat 1 or 2 times a year with your buddy who's going and you want to have your own setup to use, you can get away with a Spheros. It's going to catch it. It's going to do the job. Has sizes up to 20,000. You can get a 14,000 size Spheros for a couple $100, not even $190.
I didn't know Spheros, Scott. I didn't know they went all the way up that big.
Yeah. So it could do it. It's not a Stella, but if you're someone who has a chance of possibly seeing a tuna on top and want to cast at them, you can get away with that. Saragossa, next step up. Saragossa SW comes in, as low as a 5,000 size for bass guys. Love them. Then all the way up to 25,000, I believe. 20,000 is really the most popular size you stop at. But same thing. It can catch tuna, no problem. It's more durable than Spheros. Not quite a Twin Power, a little heavier. The tech in it is a little more dated, say, but it all comes down to durability. You can catch more tuna on it, say, than a Spheros, but it's going to wear out and you're going to have to send it in for service before you would a Twin Power.
Okay.
Saragossa, you can use them for a season-long, catch as many fish as you could on them. You're not going to run into a problem. But the ease of catching them isn't going to be the same as a Twin Power and a Stella. So then it just goes to angler experience from Saragossa to Twin Power. Twin Power is going to catch, again, as many tuna as you want, but easier than a Saragossa would. So that's the next jump up. And then Stella, it's the best of the best.
It's always going to be the latest and greatest.
It's going to be, You're going to feel it, you're going to see it, you're going to hear it. Just getting cranks on fish, the amount of pressure you can put on fish, and the ease of getting a crank under heavy pressure, you're going to see that in Stella. The drag force that you're able to put in Stella, more than a Twin Power and a Saragossa. All of them can do it. It's just the ease and amount of times you're going to do it. If you have the budget, obviously go for the Stella, but we're in real life and not everyone can afford if you're outfitting a full boat for it to get into it, you're not going to go all Stella. Most people aren't going to go for all Stellas. So you might go for the Saragossa or Twin Power, which is totally fine. You're going to be able to do it. It's just not going to be able to do what a Stella does over and over again and the ease of doing it.
So I bought the Stella last year. I bought the 18,000. And part of that was I turned 40 last year. That was the form my midlife crisis is taking, where I didn't buy a sports car. I bought expensive fishing gear.
Of course.
And so, a little something for Jim, treat for me. But the question one of the things that I didn't bother asking is I just need, I'm 40 years old. I got to get the nice stuff. I would have asked, am I better off if I had to choose between a 14,000 Twin Power for that setup or a 18 or 20,000 Saragossa? Because the Twin Power only goes up to 14, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So if I didn't want to go to the Stella, but I needed a bigger reel or a better more tuna capable reel for bigger fish, am I better off going with a bigger Saragossa or sticking with a 14,000 Twin Power?
That's a tough one for sure. I always run through that too. If I'm in a center console and line capacity isn't going to become an issue, I might lean towards the 14,000 Twin Power, because the fish that you want to catch on a spinning reel, the 14,000 is going to do it no problem. We've landed fish 85 inches on a 14,000 no problem. The drag isn't a problem. The torque between the 18 and 20,000 and 14,000 Stella, say, just looking at Stella alone, the torque between the 14,000 and the 20,000, you could see the difference because the gear ratio and the size of the arm and everything to get those cranks, it's noticeable. But the 14,000 can do it. So again, the ease of doing it the 1820 is going to do it easier. But then the Saragossa to twin power, I'd say it's almost comparable. It's hard to go. It's hard to say. I always go with the fish that I want to catch are going to be perfect for a 14,000 twin power. All the wreck fish up to 70 inches, 75 inches, no problem on a 14,000 size twin power. But if you're in a down east boat, say, and you can't get on a fish right away and you need the line capacity, 18,000 or 20,000 Saragossa might be the move.
It's going to give you that margin for error.
A little more cushion, right? But if I'm in a center console, unless I'm doubled up or can't move for some reason, line capacity is never really going to be an issue.
Now the Stella goes all the way. Saragossa might no. You said Saragossa goes to 25,000. Stella goes to 30,000. What's the application? I mean, that is a gigantic spinning reel. 30,000 size.
It
spinning
looks
reel.
like it definitely, but once you're using it, it's weird. It looks ridiculous. If you're not on the water, it's ridiculous. I've been using it for the past 2 seasons now. When it's in my hand, it's just another reel. It's weird. Yeah, I don't want to say it isn't huge because it's huge, but again, it comes down to line capacity.
Okay.
A 20,000 and a 30,000 Stella are going to be able to catch the same fish, same torque, realistically, same drag. It's just line capacity. It gives you more comfort on line capacity. I've caught really big fish on both the 30,000 and the 20,000. No real preference between the two. But again, line capacity. Guys in the Outer Banks, they're going to go for the 30,000 more than us, really, because they're fishing in really deep water. Fishing in down east boats, can't really get on them. Up here, we're fishing in a couple 100 feet of water at most. On center consoles, 20,000 you're going to be fine with.
So that's what I heard. The Outer Banks fishery was kind of the where you would want the 30,000.
Right.
Because exactly what you said, they've got those big inlets. They're fishing in the winter. You need a bigger boat and sometimes a slower boat to get out to the grounds most days. And that's where you're going to, and like you said, fishing over deeper water than we do. You know, we do a lot of our tuna fishing in 200 feet or less.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're jigging or, spin fishing for tuna and you hook a big fish, like when you say, I got to get on them, like how do you go about, starting out that fight when it's a fish that's going to stretch that line capacity limit? Like what's your play? Like how do you maneuver the boat to get things in the right situation? Do you have like kind of a go-to, or?
There's every fish is different, so it's hard to say exactly what to do when, but I do a lot of giant fishing, like with 130s, bait fishing. So I've learned a lot about fighting fish from that and using the right gear. So I kind of just lay over the same things that I would do with a spinning rod. You don't worry about the line capacity issue with the 130, obviously, but when you're with a spinning rod, try to just do the same thing. You don't want to drive right up onto a fish. Like, don't freak out crazy. The spool's usually a lot deeper than you think. You see it get past halfway, people start screaming, yelling, and like, no, you're good. You got like 200 yards left. Yeah. We'll be fine. So just catching up to them, getting to like a realistic distance, and goes down to how many boats are around you too. If you have to get on, if there's a risk of someone cutting you off, you're gonna have to get on that fish a lot quicker versus if you're all alone and the fish is going to nowhere. There's no real rush to get on that fish. It's not gonna help you catch a fish, or the fish is just tiring itself out more. What it comes down to catching big fish on spinning rods is just the amount of drag you could put on them and the amount that your gear can handle. That's what catches fish.
Yeah.
The difference between catching them on conventional gear, bait, and on spinning rods is just the amount of drag you could put on them. That's what beats tuna up, is drag. So just if you could put drag on them, you're going to be able to lift them. You're going to be able to tire them out. So getting them, those big, like call it giants.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you really have to worry about fighting on spinning gear. They're going to stay up high for a while, which kind of sucks because you can't lift them. It looks like they're close, sneaking up on them.
You never feel like you're putting much pressure on a fish up high.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're just kind of moseying around. You got a high risk of getting them tail wrapped. Then it's rubbing on your leader or the braid if you don't have a long enough leader, which always have like a leader as long as a fish as you can catch. So that way it's not on the braid. The fluorocarbon's going to eat up the abrasion a lot better. So just kind of try to get them settled. Just more drag. Eventually it could be hours later, but eventually they should settle down deep. Yeah. And then you could really put drag and start lifting them. Yeah. But yeah, just look at your surroundings. If there's boats around, worry about getting cut off. Get on them quick. If you don't, just let them kind of do their thing. Obviously, if you're at a risk of getting spooled, get on them.
Keeping them on a short leash in traffic is key. You see so many people that are like, they're quick. Their first reaction is to go to the radio instead of the sticks.
The wheel, yeah.
And it's like, come on. like everybody isn't here to get out of your way fighting a fish. I mean, it's the respectful thing to do in a fleet is to, give right away to somebody that's tight. But,
Of course.
I think that if the captain makes that first step towards shortening that leash, then it's less of a problem.
Yeah.
Other boats.
Though it might not feel like it yet, the saltwater season is coming up fast, which means it's time to reserve your spot at the rail on one of the boats in the Helen H fleet. The trips begin in early April aboard the Starfish, fishing the winter flounder grounds in Cape Cod Bay. By June, the Helen H will be running past Nantucket to the best fluke fishing grounds in the Northeast. If catching a doormat fluke is on your bucket list, these trips offer your best shot at catching a double-digit flatfish. I caught my first 10-pound fluke aboard the Helen H a couple years ago, and that fish wasn't even in the top 3 when it came to deciding who won the pool money. New for 2025, fishermen can enjoy more space at the rail aboard the Angler, which is running 10-hour, open boat, ultra limited trips to Nantucket Shoals. And if you want to fish the canyons, my favorite way to get there has always been aboard a headboat. The Helen H begins running offshore in late summer with 2- and 3-day trips targeting tuna, mahi, and swordfish. A couple years back, I watched Cheech lose his first ever swordfish right at the boat aboard the Helen H, and we'll be back out there this fall looking for redemption. There's plenty of great fishing options with the Helen H fleet this season, but the boats book up fast. So be sure to reserve your trip today at helen-h.com.
We were fishing really close to each other on a giant bite late this fall, and seeing how close your line can actually get to other boats fighting fish, it's hard to cut off on someone else's boat or fish. People, a lot of times, it happens obviously, but a lot of the time it's an overreaction. Just get on like you said, get on the wheel, get control of your fish, just follow it around, swing it around boats if you have to. And I mean, we were touching boats, trying to get fish around each other, and we didn't break a fish off. Like no one, it happened maybe to other people, but I mean, you have to actually
It is
the fish.
remarkable. Like when you get into sometimes on the backside of the Cape, there's pots that you have to worry about,
Yeah.
and it's always a nerve-wracking situation. But it never seems to come into play,
Right.
even when it's like, oh yeah, I've lost this fish is definitely getting broken off on that buoy or that boat, and it's like, oh, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of water under you that you don't realize
Right.
for those two things to come together.
I've lost way more fish on whales than boats and pots combined. Like the amount of fish I've cut off on whales, them coming across your line, versus another boat or another line from someone else's boat or a pot. Whales are I'd say way bigger problem than all of that.
I was certain
If you're, in most scenarios.
I was certain we were going to lose a fish to a basking shark last year. Chris had a fish kind of running.
That was my fish.
Was it your fish?
So I hooked up, and the line's going out that way, and a basking shark swam between the boat and where the line was hitting the water, and that was one of the highlights of the offshore season for me, man. That was really cool seeing that.
The way that shark came in, face first, it was real freaky at first, and then once you finally realized it was a basking shark, you're like, oh, it's just a basking.
I lose tuna on other tuna too. Like if it's a real spinning gear
Top
when it's a
water,
real dense school. Cheech lost one to he tried to blame the FG knot I tied, and I'm pretty sure it was other tuna.
It could have been. It could have been, but the fact that we had
No,
broke
it's definitely
4
the
off.
knot.
That was the right fish too. That's the only reason I care. Every fish we hooked was pretty much the same fish.
Maybe that'll motivate you to tie your own FG knots this season.
That line had been drawn as soon as that fish came off, Jim. That was a nice 65-inch, perfect tuna fish to catch.
My favorite was you tied that same trip. Cheech tied up a rig, and I knew he tied it, and I cut it off and retied it, and he caught me doing it.
Oh, no.
Was that trip?
It was.
And you looked at me with disgust. I was like,
he goes, "Did you tie this?" I go, "Yep," and it was perfection, right? And this guy had rigged up all of our rods the night before. I think we had broke 4 fish off before a fish hit the deck.
Oh, no.
It was like a bad dream when you you I want to punch this bad guy right in the face, but your punch would just never connect, and it was like, I'm like, what is going on? So the worst thing was
I got real quiet.
yeah, he gets real quiet, and then next thing you know, there's a stampede of dolphin coming through, and I'm like, I don't even have a jig rod ready to go because I've just broken 2 off. He spiked one, and was
No,
back
let me
to
describe
fishing.
fishing with Cheech, okay? He will break something off or tangle something and just like throw it behind him and pick up the nearest rigged rod.
Got it.
And
I
I'm
learned
there
that from
like
you.
re-rigging stuff. No, you do that.
I do until I have nothing left to fish. Then I'll rig something back up. I'm not gonna deny that. But so I look up and I'm like, oh, dolphin, spinning rod, grab that, cast right behind the lead dolphin, and like 2 pops just get annihilated. And I was like, I can't believe that just went as I had hoped.
It worked.
Like
Yeah.
instantaneously. And I'm like, this is great. So I knew right away it was a good fish, and things running, and all of a sudden it's just when you start to feel that drag really work, it let go. And I'm like, I just looked at Jimmy. I'm like, what is going on? So then he had the audacity to I rigged up a new jig stick, and he cuts the knot out, and I was like, what are you doing?
Part of that is I only want to be able to blame myself for my lost fish. I don't want to have to put it on somebody else. If it's something I can control, and that's at least there's no other variable. Like, I'm sure you're probably in the same boat. You want to. That's one thing you can control, even if sometimes you mess it up, like I did that day. But your own rigging and connections. That is something you can do at home. That's a way you can land a fish before you even get on the boat.
Taking charters out. Hey, could I bring my own gear? Yes, of course. But it's always in the back of my head, like if it's a slow day, you only get a couple chances a year, and it's not rigged right, or the leaders aren't long enough and they're finicky. Just stuff like that. Like, yes, of course, bring your own gear. I love, be comfortable doing that. I love seeing other people's gear, see stuff that I don't have, compare it. And then it's always like a matter of if it is rigged wrong or something like that. It's always in the back of my head. Yeah.
There's got to be you must have a graceful way of being like, here, let me see that real quick, and then re-rigging it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like compare them, show them like mine versus theirs. And if it's not something that like I'm dead set on, like I'm interested to see like, does this work better than what I do? Like never being closed-minded, be like, okay. They're from, say, guys come up from Jersey or Mid-Atlantic, and they do something different than we do. I'm always like, oh, okay, I want to see this. Like, is this something that I'm missing out on? Is it something that I could tweak and make it work in our waters? So just not being closed-minded. That's kind of why I like people bringing their stuff, even though like it is a potential risk. But if it's guys that know what they're doing and stuff, then it could help me in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when it's like a complete train wreck, you got to make up an excuse. Oh, hey, that leader's way too heavy. You're not going to get a bite. Let me change that leader out for you.
Like if we're jigging, they're finicky, clear water, and they have a 4-foot leader on. Okay, you could use your own stuff, but let's try this. Like that's something that's
the reason Jimmy cut it out is because he does not like I biminied in cat pod a wind on leader. He hates biminis. I don't know why he does, but anytime he sees one, he looks down at it.
I look down at one, you hastily tied it on the boat, and 2, I like the FG knot. I am a big fan of the FG. Not everybody is.
I am.
But I like it. I'm pretty confident in it. It usually holds 99.9% of the time. But you described for the swordfish, you use a bimini to a wind on.
Yes.
You are a wind on guy for your tuna popping too? No?
FGs.
Okay.
Yeah, just
casting.
Either work, yeah. I mean, a wind on, there's nothing wrong with using a wind on and then a loop-to-loop connection, no matter however you want to do it. Mm-hmm. But just for me, realistically, having spools of fluoro on the boat, whipping up an FG quick versus having packs and packs of wind-ons, cutting one off, putting that on. It might be quicker in the long run to do a loop-to-loop with a hollow.
It's more cost-effective to do the FG to the big leader spool rather than buying a bunch of or making your own wind-ons, which I don't have the wherewithal to do that.
yeah, but being able to get packs of spools of fluoro, FG in them. I have so much confidence in the FG like you. I'm kind of the same way. It's how I started, and that's just how.
That was my issue with the FG. Gone. Like, it was a relatively new knot, and I had been tying a bimini twist since I was like 10, 11 that my dad showed me how to do it, and it was 1,000% a confidence thing. I would opt for the bimini even in situations where I'm like, the FG would be so much better, but I didn't have the confidence to roll with that, knowing that you might only get one bite.
So I have a question for you. How often do you redo them? Will you keep an FG for multiple trips, or is it every trip you're changing it? How long? When do you know to retie that knot? Is it when the leader gets too short, or is there something else?
It could be either. Yeah, if the leaders are getting chafed up and cut down, then redo it. If you see the finish of the knot start coming apart, start loosening up, redo it then. Or if we just caught a ton of fish on it, then it's time to redo. But no, if we're jigging those small fish and a rod has only seen a couple fish, there's nothing wrong with it. Then just go with it again, and keeping an eye on the fluoro. If the fluoro looks like it's getting like sun bleached,
Yeah.
then I could
It's
start.
milky.
Yes, exactly. Switch it out. Then that's really more of a problem than the knot weakening. I think is the fluoro starting to change and not be as either straight, clear, and rather than the knot going bad.
What about fluoro knotted to a Ron's or something like that for an off season? Does that not go bad over time, do you think? Or
Off like keeping it there the whole winter.
like, yeah, like
We're going to retie that one. If that's the one you're talking about, you
no,
don't have to worry about that.
I'm asking a serious question. Like, do you think that over time, just how a knot is tight and fluoro's all wrapped in tight corners and stuff, like, does it go stale?
I'm sure. I don't know for sure. I don't know enough about fluoro over 6 months.
It would be
Over a 6 month
reckless
period.
to have that.
Yeah,
Thing,
but
tie that
everything-
thing in October.
Everything gets changed out for me. From the braid
Yeah.
to the leader, everything.
You
Yeah.
change your braid every season?
Yeah, I do. It's just one thing that could go wrong that you take out of the
I
equation.
think I have braid on rods that are like 10 years old.
Oh my God.
I'm serious.
I'm
Like,
sure you can
so
get away
bad
with
with
it,
that
yeah.
sometimes. But I haven't broke any fish off. I haven't broke braid yet on a fish.
The only time I've seen braid go bad is when it's a new spool. When,
Yes.
like sometimes you will get a bad batch
Mm-hmm.
somewhere of some type of braid, and it break, and then I've got to respool. But like, yeah, I keep it on there.
Dude,
For
I
a few
keep
seasons.
I
Not
keep it
10
on
years,
because
but-
like I know it's good. So until it's not, it just depends on what I'm doing though.
True.
But
yeah.
Max, we started to walk through your season. We got derailed by about
Yeah,
September,
yeah.
October. The last couple months of your season, October, November, December. What's that
Yeah.
look like?
Okay,
You still tuna
so-
fishing?
June, like we said, end of second half of June, Black Island stripers start. That's the best time. End of June, beginning of July, all through July, really, that's the best time for black stripers. The biggest fish you'll see, the best way to catch them. The day I saw you out
That was
there,
nuts.
that was
My first time bass fishing Block Island was that day.
Yeah, that's how good it could be. It's incredible.
Is that as good as it gets? Like, was that day? Because in my mind, I've told the story multiple times, but in my mind, that was Block showing out the best that it can, which is why it has the reputation it has. But you spend a lot of time there. I've been bass fishing there one time, and that's what I saw. So does it get better than that? And how?
Well, just
Yeah.
real quick, what Cheech is describing as the best, they had 3 or 4 fish over 50 pounds, a bunch more 40-pounders, all big fish, and lots of fish.
And the fish were on top.
The
that
fish
morning,
were on
too.
top. They were down deep. It was
You catch them however you
flat out
wanted.
show. Exactly.
Yeah. And I've seen crazier days, but that is on par with as good as it gets. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if a school of pogies shows up there, it can be insane. Like
That's what happened, right?
I think that was sand eels. Some pogies, some sand eels was a mix. Because that's when all the sand eels were there. It was very beginning of July. There was all the sand eels there, but then there were some bigger bait around that we saw.
So Robbie Taylor was also out there, and he had told me that at like 6 p.m. the day before, a massive shoal of bunker moved across Southwest Ledge, and when the sun came up in the morning, it was like dynamite went off. But there wasn't just bunker; there was sand eels present as well.
Yeah.
Keeping your boat in tip-top shape is hard, especially when it comes to upgrade projects. But I know a place that makes it much easier. Boat Outfitters makes custom solutions designed to enhance your fishing experience on the water. They offer tackle storage systems, bait prep stations, cutting boards, rod holders, and leaning posts that keep your gear organized and accessible. Their durable King Starboard marine plastic is built to withstand the harshest conditions and will last the lifetime of your boat. For over 40 years, boat builders and boat owners have trusted Boat Outfitters for innovative, durable boat accessories and hard-to-find parts. Whether you're upgrading your boat with OEM replacement parts or customizing storage solutions for a more efficient setup, their team of knowledgeable engineers is ready to help you plan your next project. Boat Outfitters, proven parts to max out your time on the water. Check them out at boatoutfitters.com today.
Because that was happening on and off leading up to that. Like
yeah.
end of June like 29th-ish.
Okay.
We had a really good day, June 28th. They were
Yeah.
up on top like that, on and off, but not that consistent. So there was something keeping them up like that and the amount of fish. But yeah, that was,
July 3rd.
yes. And that was,
It was
the
insane.
I had an awesome family that day. Was a charter. Awesome family that day. They were great. And they wanted to go out. They go on vacation in Rhode Island every year. And they're like, yeah, we want to go out, just catch stripers. I'm like, okay, cool. First drift, we pull up. It was insane. First drift, 40 on the dot, 40 pounds on the dot. Pulled them out, like, oh my God, it's awesome. They're kind of like looking at me like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, you want a picture? Like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, okay, take a picture, throw it back. Like, awesome. Next drift, go up. Someone else catches one, 43 pounds. Like, oh my God, that's awesome. They're like, yeah, all right. I'm like, you want a picture? Like, no, we're good. It's the best day you can get at
Yeah.
block. Fish all around us. Instantly, 2 fish over 40 pounds. Next drift, go up. Guy catches one, 51 pounds. I'm like, dude, you did it. Like, oh my God, congrats. Like, you want a picture? He's like, I can't hold that thing up. I'm like, you don't want a picture with this? He's like, no. I'm like, all right, if I hold it and take a picture with you, can we take a picture? Someone take a picture? Because this is like a big, really big deal to most people, would like die for this fish. And they're like, he's like, yeah, I guess. And then the next fish, 40-something pounds, like, oh, another nice one. They're like, it's not nice. We can't keep it. I'm like,
That's what's going to be my
Okay.
question. They wanted fish in the
got
slot.
it. I'm like, I understand now. We should have made this clear from the beginning. We'll go from here. But it was like the best day you could ever get. Awesome family. Loved them. They were fun. Great fishing. So I'm like, all right, let's leave this that most people would die for, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to line this day up. Like, if I had guys that fished with me, they would have lost their mind. So I went in closer to the island. First fish, 29 inches, high fives all around, hollering, hooting, hollering. I'm like, great.
That describes being a charter captain because, yeah, that's the best day to you.
Yes.
But it's not your day.
Right.
It's this family's day. They wanted to catch fish that inside the slot limit. And, man, that just does. Somebody else we had recently, John Galvin said, like, yeah, everybody's out catching marlin, but my guys want to go catch bluefish, so I'm going to. But you can't poo-poo it.
Exactly.
You have to.
Yeah.
You're going to have as much fun catching bluefish as you possibly can.
But what a weird feeling, like catching fish is a fish of a lifetime. And they're like, I'm like, what's
I will
going on
die
here?
homeless under a bridge before I resort to making money as a charter captain. I couldn't handle that. I couldn't deal with that. I'd be like, no, you're going to like this. All right? Like, I would not be able to handle that.
You mean you wouldn't last very long as a charter captain? Because
I wouldn't subject myself to that situation. I couldn't do it. I probably wouldn't be a good charter captain either, but
Yeah.
well, you'd have them running the fish finder for you while you catch. Like,
Hey,
they
drive
ride
this
fishing
boat.
trips around.
Perfect.
hey, set me up on this drift real good. We get me close to that feed.
Yeah.
You're right. You'd be brutal.
it's getting
Yeah.
worse and worse every year.
Sorry, sidetracked again. But
No, that's good. I have
end of June, beginning of July.
I do have another block
Yeah.
question for you. What's your block island setup for big stripers there? What would you? Are you mainly drifting eels out there?
That's the most consistent way to do it. Yeah. Soft plastics have come very popular and pretty consistent to
fun
catch them
bite.
too. Yeah. It's like, it's awesome. So it's kind of 50-50 for me. Chartering eels is a lot easier, more consistent to do it. But if I'm going out for fun, I'd say like 75% of the time now I'm using artificials versus a live eel.
So what's your rod and reel setup for that?
Shimano Terramar Double X, Northeast Terramar Double X. Those are sweet rods. The 7-foot medium heavy fast, not the extra fast, just the fast with it's usually a twin power 4000 SW, twin power
4,000.
SW,
Wow.
or 5000. Either way, the 4000 is a little lighter than the 5000, so and the SW could handle it. So that's kind of my go-to for the artificial, the Terramar Northeast Double X.
Okay.
With a twin power 4000.
30-pound braid or?
20 or 30 on my live bait rods. I'll do 30 on the artificials. I'll go 20 just so it goes through the water a little easier. You have to worry about cutting them off on rocks, but in my head, if I'm going to get broke off on 30-pound, I'm going to get broke off on 20-pound. maybe a couple fish I'll save, but I think you get a lot more bites on 20 versus 30 on artificials. It helps a little bit, but yeah, 4,000 twin power SW, Terramar, Northeast, double X, 7-foot medium heavy. That's like kind of like my all around go to inshore rod. It's sweet. It's light, super sensitive, can cast heavier things like the 1.5-ounce jig head we're using on those soft plastics, all the way down to epoxy jigs.
What do you prefer for soft plastics? Like what 1.5-ounce jig head?
Yeah.
What are you using for baits?
I like the gravity eels. I don't really have a set preference, but I've had kind of the most luck on gravity. I can get those easily. The longer size, what are those, 13-inch, I think?
Yeah, I think a 13 and a half or 13.
Yeah.
They're
Yep.
funny to cast.
Yeah.
But
they work.
They do work.
Yeah. And depending on how the tide is, ounce and a half, 2 ounces.
Take us through how you present that bait to fish that you're marking on the bottom. Like what there's an art to it, right?
Yeah, it is. It starts. You asked me about holdovers earlier. It's the same cadence. I grew up fishing holdovers in the Housatonic in the winter a ton. So it's the same exact cadence as there. So it's let it sink down to depth, count, or even hit bottom, bring it up from there if you don't know the count. So before you start fishing, count how long goes to the bottom, then figure out the math where you want to hold it. Or easier way, throw it out, hit the bottom, then rip it up quick, and then fish it. But just slow reel, depending on if you're going cross tide, with tide, or against tide. If you're drifting, say north, and you throw it south, you're going to be going the boat speed plus what you're reeling, so you're going to barely be reeling then. If you're going cross tide, you could reel at normal pace. If you're going with the tide, if you're going like towards if you throw it the way that the boat is going, you're going to be having to reel extra fast. So just figure out what they want that day. I'd say cross tide for me is most efficient and consistent, just because you could reel the same speed every time, no matter how fast the boat is going, and the fish don't mind it coming across the tide. But yeah, easiest way, have it hit bottom, rip it up quick. And it's just this pop, slow reel, pop, pop, slow reel. And that works across like so many different ways. I've caught fish doing that on just a simple, any soft plastic on a jig head, just same reel, pop, pop, and then feeling it with the tide. If you're bringing it up too high, or if you're down dragging it bottom, you aren't reeling enough. If you're bringing it up too high, if you got to drop it back down. So just learning the feel for it, like anything else.
I got to do that this year. I need to get the block, and I want to do it like that.
It's
the
awesome.
thump is insane.
It's
The
the
thump.
best
Oh my
bite.
God.
It is the best way to catch a striped bass.
Yeah,
Big one.
it's a 40 and 50 pound fish. Thump. Then you set the hook and they don't move. It's so fun. So that's.
It took me a little longer than I expected to figure out that whole soft plastic deal that day. I mean, I wasn't on my A game. I was a little sluggish from the events leading up to that trip, but I regret that because it was that day. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of feel and technique to it, and then when you have somebody with the experience that's done it over again in your ear, kind of coaching you up, I found that the cross tide was the easiest situation to figure that feel out, and then you could adjust from there.
Definitely.
A lot quicker. But that bite is so addicting. Like at one point, my brother and buddy were fishing eels and doing much better. I refused to go over.
Yeah.
Because it was just, I want more of this thump. It
I
was
agree.
awesome.
It's so fun. And that's end of June, beginning of July, it goes into August too, but there's so much else going on then, so it's hard to do it. But
Gets a little sharky the last couple of years too by August.
And I find the biggest fish, like your chances at 50-pound fish are end of June, beginning of July. It's really, I'm lucky to have it so close to me.
So what's your fall look like?
A lot of mainly all offshore. Obviously, if it's bad weather days, I'll run South Shore up towards Newport for albies and bonita, but mainly all offshore. Giant fishing, September, October is usually the best time of the year to do it. That's what I do mostly then, if we can't get offshore for charters for jig and pop fishing. So if I could still run offshore and the jig and pop thing is still going, that's what I'm going to be doing. But on days that if it's bad weather, or if I don't have a trip booked and the giant bite is really good, I'm going to be giant bluefin fishing. And that's another thing in Rhode Island that has just exploded, and it's insane.
there's so many giants around.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere. You know, from Maine all the way down to Jersey. Jersey guys are getting tons of them. We're just off the beach. Rhode Island's been good.
There's a lot of tuna around. Period.
Yeah.
Like it is. I think it might even be the only conservation win in the history of like management. It feels like, but like
you want to ride it because you know in 20 years we'll look back at this as like good old days. You know, if it I can't imagine it getting better than it is. You know, I mean, it has high points and lower points over the last couple of years, but I think we're living in the bluefin tuna good old days.
I agree, and it's not just here. It's like California got their fish back after years and decades of absence. Like over in the UK, there's fish there that weren't there for a very long period of time. So it seems like it's like worldwide. It's awesome to see. And I hope it goes on.
Yeah, as they open up that
time.
UK fishery, it's going to explode there.
Yeah.
That's going to be a place I think people travel to for topwater bluefin once more people are able to fish it and they learn it a little more.
Did you see the kayak video? The guy
Was that in the UK?
Yeah. That was the UK. So there was
Wow.
He was out. Some photographers out in a kayak, and he's got. Man, it looks like he's only 50 feet from shore, and he's got bluefin just raging all around him. And somebody said to me, I was like, why the hell is he not fishing? Like, and he goes, well, you're not allowed to there. You can't fish for bluefin tuna there right now.
Yeah, there's only a handful. I don't know exactly how many permits, but a handful allowed of guys able to fish. And I met one of the guys that I cast last year, and I've been able to talk to him through it, and he's sending me videos. It's just like what we dream of for topwater days there, and they're just trolling bars through it. Like, that's all they know. And it's bars that if we had it, like much better bars, much better tackle, like they're just learning it. So it's like, if that place opens up more and they get the right stuff there, it could be a place that turns into a destination.
I want the UK to get a topwater bluefin fishery because the California slang is like foamers and they have their own.
Yeah.
We've got ours. Like, I need to hear what British bluefin slang sounds like.
Right.
It's
That's
going to be
actually
it's going to be
pretty
bonkers.
So I'm gonna jump back into the canyons real quick. On like when it comes to jig and pop in the canyons, you've experienced big eye popper bites. Like, what do you look for that to be like, all right, I'm jigging and I'm popping, and that's what I'm going to do the rest of the time I'm out here? Because that's always been something that's intrigued both of us. And what are those characteristics or those telltale signs that you look for? It's like, all right, it's time to put the trolling stuff away. And
Out there, it's going to be fish breaking water. That's it. Like, to mark them up high, they're always going to be scattered. Like when you're trolling around, they're never, I don't want to say never, but most of the time it's going to be like one fish here, one fish there, not enough to stop and jig.
Yeah.
But once you see them on top, last year we had bluefin out there, just acres of them on the surface, and it was topwater heaven, but it was over 100 miles out. So it's like, can't just run there for that because they could be 30 miles east the next day. They're just passing through there.
Yeah.
But it's really just when you're trolling, when you're out there just for regular fishing, you get days that you hit it right. It's lucky that the yellowfin are on top or the bluefin are on top. You might run into a big eye on top if you're just really lucky.
So is
I
that
heard
what?
pilot whales were the sign that you might be able to pop a big
Yeah,
eye?
yeah. Like if you're driving around and you see pilot whales and you want to throw a popper at them, there's a chance for sure there. Absolutely. But for like consistent topwater, yellowfin or bluefin, pull the trolling stuff in, it's going to be there's going to be surface feeds, and you're going to be able to do it.
Interesting. I would have guessed that it was related to trolling and getting fish up and with enough consistency to say, I bet you we can pop.
And the birds will tell you if there's been surface feeds around too. You're over 100 miles out, so if there's birds there, they're there for a reason. It's not like being close to shore where like, oh, there's some birds there, they could find something. But out there, if there's shear waters around and they're hanging in clumps, or if they're scanning low to the water, that's kind of tell you like, hey, hang around here, it could happen or it did happen. And you could blind cast around and definitely get bites there. It's happened. But usually, most of the time it's going to be actually seeing them.
What's fighting a big eye on spinning gear like?
A more pissed off bluefin
Yeah.
that has more depth to go down. So they have more depth. Instead of running out, they'll go down. And then just they're more pissed off. They're harder to lift. They're cool.
Yeah.
They're special.
They're awesome.
Yeah, and
looking fish.
when the buoys are there getting them on jigs, they just go down. You hook them a couple 100 feet down, 300 feet down sometimes.
Yeah.
They just go down. and then they come up to the surface every once in a blue moon, and topwater strike is sick.
That's something I'm bummed I missed. The one I knew about was the tsunami buoy, which was 145, 150 mile run from I think the closest point.
It's a hike.
And but man, the guys that went out there found them just kind of circle, doing a merry-go-round around the buoy, and they jig them and pop them, and
definitely. I always feel like I'm living in the past talking about the buoys, but like there's still topwater opportunities in the canyons, no doubt. You just got to fish normally for them, the temp breaks, the canyon walls, whatnot, and it'll come eventually if you go enough.
So what's the last trip before the boat gets winterized? What's the last trip you make every season?
Usually togging.
Okay.
Yeah, just because the weather starts getting worse. October, November, love togging. I'm in the perfect place for it, and a ton of fish, big fish. So that's really what I switch for October, November, say. If bluefin shuts down or the weather's not good enough, or if it's a closed day for giants, I'll go togging. That's really the last thing.
I mean, Point
usually.
Judah is you've got fluke, you've got big tog, you've got giant stripers, you've got access to great giant tuna fishing, light tackle tuna fishing, and the canyons. I mean, there's not that is one of the great ports in the Northeast.
No doubt. Yeah.
Point Judith is
So lucky.
Yeah, I mean, you're situated in a great spot, man. Before we go, what's left on your Northeast fishing bucket list? What fish or size fish is out there that you're still looking to get that you haven't yet?
You asked about weird things deep dropping. I would say getting an Opa, Atlantic Opa on the deep drop. You can't target them. You got to just get really lucky. But longliners caught more than they ever have this year of them. So it could be like a sign of them showing up more. It could just be a fluke. And so that'd be like the one thing that I like lose my mind over is catching an Opa on the deep drop. Those are just so weird looking and different than anything else.
And then they've got like 5 cuts of meat that you get out of a single one.
Yeah.
They are so. I don't know anything about their migrations. I don't know that anyone knows a lot
I
about
don't think
these
anybody
fish. They're
knows
kind of
anything
a
about 'em.
mysterious.
In the Pacific, they're common. Like Hawaii,
Yeah.
they're common.
I've had Opa in Hawaii. It's delicious.
Yeah,
I've only had one cut, but it's very good, and they're so weird looking. They look like something that would be in a kid's fish tank.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
wild.
So that'd be like, I don't know, the one thing that it's always in the back of my head, deep dropping, like, oh, if I could only get an Opa one day. But that's really would be the top thing for sure.
Yeah, pomfret. I know there's of the other things you catch, like pomfret. It seems to be one of the more uncommon catches deep
Yeah.
dropping. Guys
Definitely.
get those, and they're kind of wacky looking fish. They look
Yeah.
like they're a photo negative of, like a
permit.
butterfish. Yeah, permit.
Yeah.
Those are funky looking. Everything down there is funky looking. That deep, if you're living that deep all the time, your eyes are going to be huge, and you got to survive that pressure. Who knows what's down there.
Well, Max, man, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. It helps breaking up the winter, just talking about the upcoming offshore season. Although we've got still like 4 months to wait until we could even realistically.
I feel
be
like
talking
every
about
year
tuna.
it gets here quicker.
Yeah. So
You
let's
know?
hope that pattern keeps going.
Yeah. Except the problem is you just getting older quicker too. Well, thank you for coming in, man.
No,
It was
thank you guys for having me.
Awesome chatting with you.